Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about some very interesting topics that you have not been familiar about. But before I start, I'd like to give you a short introduction about myself for you to better understand why I chose to discuss these topics today. I'm Christy, I'm an English teacher from the Philippines who is currently based here in Foshan, Guangdong, China. I've been here from 2018, so in total I've been living here for 6 years now. China is the largest education system in the world. The 9-year compulsory education policy enables the students over 6 years old to have free education to both primary and junior secondary schools. Although the parents have the choice whether they want to send their students to private schools or public schools, the decision is still up to them. While the senior high schools and the college education are not compulsory and not free in China. English language education has been regarded and given much importance in the People's Republic of China. Even though there are still debates that rages once again whether schools should still further reduce the weight of English language learning and teaching, the Chinese Ministry of Education said that foreign languages play an important role in the international vision and cross-cultural communication skills of the students, but still they are emphasizing the importance of education in Chinese culture and reinforcing cultural confidence. I remember it was in 2018 that the economy of English teaching, training schools and centers all over China was flourishing a lot. We can see many choices of training centers where students can attend after-school classes before they go home to rest. Learning English was accessible to all ages any time of the week according to their preferred time during those years. Businesses offering the services didn't have much difficulties to attract students to come to their schools and attend. One great way they did was hiring foreign teachers, specifically native speakers or non-native speakers from abroad, to come to China and become part of their schools, because at that time, government policies were not as strict as compared to today regarding the provision of working visas. I was one of the fortunate foreign teachers who was able to come to China during the flourishing years. I can really tell that those times English teaching was a really in-demand job in China. Changing jobs from one school to another, from one city to another, was an easy-peasy thing to do. It wasn't very difficult at that time. But not until a very serious social issue came to China and to the world also, which affected all aspects such as the socio-economic, the mental, the health, and all others. So in December 2019, it was the start of the COVID-19 outbreak, in which all schools had been closed down as well as the other kinds of business operation in order to help contain the outbreak. Apparently, the schools were ordered to do online classes as an alternative to still cope with the students' learning. I had experienced this myself, and although we had to do online classes, the schools need to pay us because the government ordered all schools need to pay the foreign employees full-time salary even though we did an online class. But nobody expected that the outbreak will last for a long time. So apparently, in the later part, some companies had to pay only a percentage of the salary of the foreign employees. Like at first it was 80%, then 60, then turned 40, and then sadly, most companies rather, had to close down and declare bankruptcy because they cannot cope with the challenge anymore. So, secondly, as well, most training centers had to reduce their workers because of the situation. Aside from declaring bankruptcy, also they had to close down. So at that time, so many people lost their jobs. And finally, the government became more strict with regards to approving the working visas of foreigners, especially to non-native speakers. I was one of the casualties of the letter that led me to search for jobs in different cities that could offer me some favorable job offerings and a stable working visa. Luckily, I was still able to find one, and we had to relocate to the new city during the middle of the pandemic. But it was all because of God that we were able to survive those rough times. And there was still one English training center that was able to transfer my working visa and process everything smoothly. But wait, it did not end there. No, in 2021, the Chinese government made the China Double Reduction Policy. This was then implemented as a way to address social issues that arise due to COVID-19. The aim of the Chinese government is to relieve the burden of excessive school, homework, after-school classes of students, and to help parents lessen the financial burden in these matters. In most cities, double reduction policy were then banned for profit training centers from teaching core subject materials to kindergarten, primary, and middle school students. And English is one of the core subjects, so apparently, English training centers had to abide by the policy. And business owners had to shift their nature of businesses from then on. So many training centers, English training centers, had to close down because it was affected by the double reduction policy. Then again, I was one of the casualties of the said policy because I was working in a training center at that time. So aside from teaching English online, also the online teaching apps were also reduced, and many online teaching apps lost their businesses and had to close down, such as 51 Talk and many others. Young kids can no longer learn English freely, while schools offer help in extending after-school tutorials in campus to the students. The demand for English language education has really declined because of this policy, and teaching jobs has been scarce here lately because of the policy. Most schools now prefer the hiring native speakers because of the strict policy and work visas. And the students need to have a happy time after spending time at school and not spending them in the tutorial learning centers. So the demand for English learning has really declined because of the double reduction policy. And another social issue that's being addressed in this policy is that they encourage Chinese parents to have more child to address the issue in the decline of population. So the double reduction policy will not only help the students to alleviate their academic pressures, but also will help the parents to lessen their financial burden and also to help boost the population of the country. So they can be encouraged to have more child if they have lessen their financial burden of sending their students, their children to after-school tutorial learning centers. So now the question says here, now has this double reduction policy reached its aims and goals? Well, according to the study that's been conducted on almost 28,398 elementary school and junior high school students, the overall depression and anxiety levels significantly decreased and has helped really the students in China. But its effect specifically towards English language education is very tremendous, because nowadays the students just regard learning English because they wanted to pass the test, not because they wanted to learn how to use English in communicating. And also some schools now prefer to teach the core subjects, math, English specifically focuses on listening, science, and Chinese, rather than more emphasis on teaching English to better the communication skills of the students. It has reduced the importance of English subject while improving the equity of English education. The quality is just about the result in the examination. And in my own opinion, this double reduction policy is a good way to help students and parents, but on the other hand, its effect to us, the foreign English teachers, is not very commendable because, you know, we had to have undergo the difficulty of looking for jobs now because of this double reduction policy. But, you know, we are just the foreigners and we must just abide to the rules in this country, and we must just trust the knowledge and wisdom of the government officials, and we are in which we are in because they know better than we do. And so my stand on the double reduction policy is that education can bring the desired change in the future. If they want to change it, I just need to support them because they know much better than me.